people face a lot of problems when it comes to sewing machines. Skip stitches, machine not moving the fabric, cutting of thread, and many other issues. And the reason for this is most people don't know the parts of their sewing machine and what they do. I'm going to show you some of the parts of the sewing machine and their functions, and I'm going to tell you why you are facing some common sewing machine problems when using your sewing machine. This is the power button. This is where you press to turn on the machine, and this red button is what you use to turn off the machine. This right here is the stitch regulator. This is what you use to control the width of the stitch that you are sewing. Average stitch width is 2. Now if you want a wider stitch, you can take it to 3. You can bring it to 2.5. I will advise that when you're sewing the inner part of your garment or any critical area that will need some form of reinforcement, you use 2. But if you're sewing maybe an external stitch, maybe you're sewing a pocket or you're sewing something external that requires some form of aesthetics or design, you can bring it to 2.5 or 3. The higher the number, the wider the stitch. This is the reverse stitch lever. When you bring it down, it's going to run a reinforcement stitch or a back stitch. Reinforcement stitch are meant to actually reinforce what you're stitching. If you're stitching, let's say, a pocket and you get to the end of the pocket, you are required to run a reinforcement or a back stitch to hold that part in place. Now, this is the balance wheel. This is what you turn to run your stitch on the sewing machine. So this is an industrial sewing machine, so you don't actually need to turn this all that much. The motor actually powers this part of the machine. You just turn it a little and the motor does the job of turning this to enable you to sew. So now when you turn this, you see the needle is actually going up and down. This is the thread spool. This is where you actually fix your thread. A normal industrial machine usually comes with 2 thread spool. There's a way you can actually fix the 2 thread at the same time on the industrial sewing machine. Most people don't know that an industrial straight stitch machine can actually run a design stitch when you fix 2 threads to it. I'll make a separate video on that. This is the presser foot tension lever. Now this is where you set to determine how hard your presser foot will press down on the fabric. If you tighten this part, the harder the presser foot will actually press down on the fabric. This is very important when you're sewing a very thick fabric. Let's say you're sewing a jean or a chinos or a thick wool fabric. You have to loosen this part up because those types of fabric actually have some form of bulk. So when you place it under the presser foot, if this part is too tight, you're going to experience some issues. Probably your fabric might stop moving when you're trying to sew because the presser foot pressed down too tightly on the fabric, and since the fabric is actually quite thick, it's going to find it difficult to move when you're sewing. So if you're sewing a very thick fabric, it's good you actually loosen this presser foot tension lever. Then if you're sewing a lightweight fabric, let's say linen or chiffon, you can tighten up this lever so that it will actually press down well on the fabric for the fabric to be able to move. This is the thread tension disc. Now this is a very important part of the sewing machine because this actually determines how free or how tightly the thread goes from the thread spool to the needle. Running from the thread spool down to the needle, there needs to be some form of tension for it to come out with a good stitch. If I tighten this up and it becomes too tight, you can experience problems of your thread cutting. If this place is too tight, it's going to be difficult for the thread to move down to the needle. So that's where you find out sometimes your thread will just cut. If you're getting value from this video and you're really serious about upgrading your skill in tailoring, like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel Luyasi. Hit the notification bell so that whenever I upload a video like this, you get the first time notice of it. And if you have any question whatsoever, don't hesitate, hit me up in the comment section. You can actually open your machine up this way. When you come down here, you see that this is the inside of the machine where you actually put in your oil. It's written on this place high. Beneath it, it's written low. The oil position is at the high gauge. So you have to check this frequently to determine if there's enough oil inside your sewing machine. Now this is your sewing needle. The type of fabric you're sewing will determine the size of needle that you get. Now this is the presser foot. This is what actually presses down on the fabric. This stabilizes the fabric while you are sewing. Now this part of the machine that looks like a teeth, this is the feed dog. This is what actually moves the fabric while you are sewing. Now without this feed dog, your fabric will just be in one place. It will not move when you're sewing. As you can see, I'm moving it the right way. If you place your fabric here, it will actually pull the fabric backward. If I turn the wheel the other way, you see it's bringing it forward. This is what actually moves your fabric while you're sewing. Now when I come to the back of the machine here, you see there's a lever here. Now you use this lever to actually raise up the presser foot and bring it down. As you can see, as I turn the lever this way, the presser foot goes up. As I bring it down, it comes down. Now coming down to the lower part of the machine here, you see there's another lever here. This lever actually performs the same function with the lever at the back, it actually moves the presser foot up and down. You actually place your nail here and just pull it like this to the right hand side, and when you pull it, the presser foot actually goes up and down, as you can see from the distance here. This is the machine motor. Now, this is what actually powers the machine. It's actually a very powerful motor. It runs on a very high speed. That's why industrial sewing machines are usually very fast. Industrial sewing machines usually comes in two types. We have the ones that comes with an industrial motor like this, and we have the direct drive industrial sewing machine. I'm going to make a separate video where I explain the differences between the two. This is the foot control or the foot pedal. So this is where you actually press to power the machine. So when you press it, it will actually power the machine and enable it to sew. The harder you press it, the faster the motor runs. So if you want to sew very fast, you press it harder. So this is the foot control or the foot pedal. When you open this part up, you're going to see where your bobbin and your bobbin case is actually placed. As you can see, this is the bobbin and the bobbin case. This is the bobbin and this is the bobbin case. So this is where you actually put in your under thread. You have to actually reel in the thread. As you can see, there's thread inside, and fix it on the bobbin case, which is this, and then insert it into the sewing machine. Now, I made a video on 4 most common sewing machine problems and how to solve them. If you're interested in watching that video, click here to watch that video.